In 1971, East Pakistan was engulfed in a military crackdown. Millions of civilians were caught in the crossfire, and within months, 10 million refugees poured across the border into India. Inside East Pakistan, local resistance formed almost immediately. These Bengali nationalists, known as the Mukti Bahini, launched a guerrilla insurgency against the occupying military forces. India faced a strategic dilemma. Intervening was necessary to stabilize their own border region, but fighting a two-front war against Pakistan carried risks. If the conflict dragged on, the United Nations or global superpowers would likely step in to force a ceasefire long before East Pakistan could be liberated. To succeed, the Indian military required an impossibly fast campaign. They had to achieve total isolation of the enemy forces before the international community had time to react. Major General J.F.R. Jacob proposed a strategy that defied conventional military doctrine. Instead of engaging the heavily fortified border towns, he directed his forces to bypass them and aim a dagger straight at the capital, Dhaka. This strike required synchronized execution. The Indian military had to sever Pakistan's air and maritime supply lines simultaneously, cutting off any chance of reinforcement. By ignoring the border defenses, the campaign shifted the objective from a war of attrition into a multi-domain squeeze. The first move occurred in the sky at the Battle of Boira. Indian fallen Nats, agile, compact fighter jets, intercepted Pakistani Sabres. In a dogfight lasting less than 3 minutes, the Indian Air Force secured air superiority over the Eastern Theater. On the Western Front, the port of Karachi remained operational. As long as ships could move freely, naval reinforcements could resupply the troops and prolong the war. The Indian Navy answered with Operation Trident. Under the cover of darkness, a strike group of small Vidyut-class missile boats navigated into heavily defended waters to unleash a barrage of Soviet-made Styx anti-ship missiles. The missiles destroyed Karachi's fuel storage tanks and sank key destroyers. With their maritime logistics severed, the Pakistani forces in the east were trapped. On the ground, the Indian Army pushed forward with speed. Commanders chose to leapfrog fortified towns entirely rather than engaging in slow, costly sieges. The terrain was defined by massive river deltas. To keep the momentum, Indian forces utilized Mi-4 helicopters to rapidly airlift troops and artillery directly across the wide expanse of the Meghna River. An airborne drop at Tangail placed Indian paratroopers behind enemy lines. This maneuver intercepted and shattered retreating Pakistani forces before they could reach Dhaka. Throughout this advance, the Mukti Bahini acted as an intelligence network, guiding the Indian Army through the terrain and making these precise bypass maneuvers possible. This combination of severed supply lines and rapid leapfrogging produced a cumulative pressure. By the time the Indian Army reached Dhaka, the provincial governor had resigned following an airstrike, and rumors of a 5,000-man paratrooper drop, vastly larger than the actual force, had paralyzed the local command. By December 16th, the situation was untenable. Indian forces had completely surrounded Dhaka, placing direct pressure on the Pakistani commander, Lieutenant General A.A.K. Niazi. Major General Jacob issued a stark ultimatum to Niazi: surrender within 30 minutes or face destruction. With no viable alternatives, the instrument of surrender was signed, ending the military conflict. While the battlefield fell silent, the victory created a new crisis. India now physically held 93,000 prisoners of war. The post-war environment was volatile. In Pakistan, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto refused to legally recognize Bangladesh as a sovereign nation. Bangladesh's leader, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, countered with strict terms. He demanded formal recognition and war crime trials for 195 Pakistani soldiers before negotiations could begin. India was caught in the middle. Holding 93,000 prisoners was logistically draining and politically difficult to sustain. The war moved from the physical battlefield to a negotiating table, with the military victory replaced by a diplomatic deadlock. To break the impasse, India used the safe return of the 93,000 prisoners as its primary bargaining chip to force political concessions. Groundwork was laid with the 1972 Simla Agreement, which established a framework for bilateral peace between India and Pakistan. The 1973 Delhi Agreement finalized the trade. India agreed to release the prisoners of war, and in exchange, Bangladesh dropped the demand for trials against the 195 soldiers. With its captured forces hanging in the balance, Pakistan yielded and formally recognized Bangladesh in February 1974. The 1971 campaign ended not just with a tactical surrender, but with a total diplomatic pivot. By securing 93,000 prisoners on the battlefield, India held the specific assets required to trade for the formal recognition of a new state.